Welcome back to the show and tell of my collection of Artisan pens so far. So last time I showed you some pens from Lola Pen Designs, Dragon Pens, and Walltown Pens. Let's see what we have in store for you today. This beautiful, beautiful pen was made in Romania by a Romanian maker by the name Horatiu Gutovschi, whose Etsy store is Gutovschi Pen Studio 80. I will leave all the information for all the pen makers in a description so you can just check them out. So when I saw this pen, immediately I was taken back to Italy in my mind. And this whole thing reminded me of these fancy Italian marbled papers, especially the ends of the pen from both sides. It's just such a beautiful ebonite with such an incredibly beautiful grain showing that I had to have it. Also, I do like myself some ebonite. And so I got this pen and the second pen that from him that I will put up pictures of as well. But I don't have that pen anymore. Because as much as I love ebonite, the second pen was wooden pen and it was beautiful. But wooden pens are not quite for me, or to be correctly put, I have not really found a wooden pen that would make me feel happy or ecstatic holding it and using it as a pen. I love wooden floors, furniture, you name it, but there's not been a wooden pen that I felt as happy about holding and writing with, which is very personal. And I hope I do find a pen like that in the future. And I know some people might feel that way about ebonite too. Might not be for them. It's a peculiar material. I love it. It gives that wonderful warm sensation when you hold it. And plastic feels very different, in my opinion, than ebonite does. So this specific pen was hand-turned really nicely. I think it's on the girthier side, but I like it. It's a very comfortable, girthy pen. So holding it is a delight. It's one of my favorite writers. It's Jovo Nib again, and this is fine. And I love it. It's one of my favorite writers till this day. It was fitted with the fine Jovo nib, as I said, but it's such a pleasant writer, and it's just wet enough and pleasant to write with. So it's not an overly gusher of a pen, but it is on the wetter side, and I do enjoy that. So this is a very nice ebonite pen, and I duly recommend the maker. It really goes above and just great to communicate with. I do have to tell you that even if I did not end up keeping the wooden pen, I did give it to someone. So it was my mom who got it from me, and she enjoys it. It's a very beautiful pen, and I definitely do not regret buying from this maker. Fast forward to Christmas 2023. My gift to myself is this beautiful pen. So there are many ways this pen is special in. So first of all, the size. It is on the smaller size, and I love it. It's very nice in my hand specifically. I'm someone who prefers smaller pens, and I like them within a reasonable way of being small, obviously. And just a moment, I'll get a comparison Kaweco. Alright, so 2 pens to compare it with would be Kaweco Sport and this Sailor Pro Gear Slim Mini. So if we compare them, this is capped. We use them when we put the caps on, and so usually it's easier, even these are smaller pens. It's much easier to use them like that, with a cap like that. And so this case, you cannot put the cap anywhere, but here we go. The nib size is about the same as Sailor's, so it's number 5. And so the length, capped here, it can only be used as uncapped, unfortunately, is basically smaller than both Kaweco and Sailor Pro Gear Slim Mini. So in my book, it's a perfect small pen right there. And so the way I came by this pen was, once again, being on Etsy. Myself being a seller on Etsy, and being on Etsy brings you a lot of interesting search things that, you know, you thought you didn't need but ended up needing. So this one was made out of this really cool material. So the blank was either made for Conway Stewart or for Conway Stewart. I'm not quite sure, but it's from the 70s. And when the Conway Stewart closed down, the old Conway Stewart factory closed down in the UK, this blank, along other blanks, were sold off. And this one is called Lapis Blue Lazuli. Now, obviously had to have it, because if you knew something about me, I do like colors. I do like gemstone colors. And I also make paint using some gemstones. And lapis lazuli is one of the most important stones there is in terms of historic significance and pigments and paint making. So this got my attention immediately. So Chris is a maker behind the account in the store. And so he was wonderful when I asked for a nib in rose gold. He came through. I just like how it looks. It feels wonderful. It is a medium. And it's a wonderful writer, and I do enjoy it so very much. Chris's store is called Turning by Design, and it's in the UK. I love this one. Okay, so next up was my first pen of the year 2024. Once again, the most beautiful ebonite green. So I had heard about this maker that doesn't have an online store. You're supposed to get in touch with him via Instagram and inquire. And he's well known for a specific type of handmade, self-made, and self-cast blanks that he makes and then hand turns them. And so his waiting list, although I've known about him for about a year at that point, the waiting list he had was about a year-ish long. So I thought, well, I have no hope of getting a pen, right? But turns out that when you want your pen to be made out of a blank that he doesn't have to cast, sometimes you can get ahead on the waiting list, which was a happy thing for me because I reached out to Rob Sanchez from Rob's Penworks. That's his little logo. And asked him for this specific type of pen that I wanted. And so my request, beyond just having an ebonite pen, because I do like my ebonite a lot, was this specific pen that at that point only he was the one who was making. At least that's what I thought. And you'll see in a minute. It's a nib holder. So the way his pens are, he can make you a section that can be taken out. And I have a second section that has a fountain pen nib in it. So this section goes in when I want to use a nib, kakimori nib, dip nib like this. Or if I want to switch it out and use it as a fountain pen, I can do that too. So what I love that this kakimori nib is protected by the cap as well. So it would remind me of those beautiful vintage pens, dip pens that I love so much. And you might have seen me use in other videos. So this is exactly what I wanted. I was extremely happy that he was able to make this pen for me in much smaller time frame, so shorter time frame that I expected him to be able to make it in. That was a happy thing, and I got it in January 2024. Next up is a very short pension because this pen I do not know much about besides the fact that this is Edison Pen Co. Collier. So Edison Pen Co., from what I know, it's a small but a bigger hand-turn pen company. And I was extremely lucky to be able to buy this one secondhand. It's a beautiful, beautiful writer. And Jowo 6, number 6, and fine as well. Very nice acrylic right here. And I do like it a lot. It's a pen that I got secondhand. Someone had it in their collection for a long time, did not use it because they had other Edison pens. And so I got it very happily for a much lower price than I would normally be able to get it. All right, so we're nearing the end of the tray here. All right. So with 2 more pens left, 2 toll pens here, as you can see. I'll start with this one. So this beautiful pen is in Augusta Theater by, I believe, Jonathan Brooks of Carolina Pen Company. And I did love this blank so much. I was happy to get it, and I got it from a new to me, but from what I understand, pretty new maker duo. It's a wife and husband duo, and very nice, and they hand cast their own blanks too. This one happened to be in the colorway that I really liked, so I wanted to buy it. But they also hand cast their own blanks, and some of them is just extremely gorgeous with like hand-picked dried flowers in them and stuff like that. So if you're into it, definitely check them out. But this one is a long pen. So I think this is the longest handmade pen I have. It's a labeled as a desk pen, which I agree with, because its size. It's not that easy to carry with you in a small bag, but I do like it a lot. I find it to be very comfortable. The section is very long, and it's nicely pronounced, so I can hold it very nicely in my hand. So definitely no regrets there. Beautiful, beautiful writer, good nib. I think this is Schmidt as well. It says Osprey pens on it, and it's a size M nib. A very lovely pen. So parallel nib were someone I found out about from a different maker. That maker is Abigail Markov. So I've made a whole video on this beautiful pen and Abigail's work. But let me just tell you, that time when I talked to Rob and I bought this pen, commissioned this pen, he also told me very graciously about Abigail. And so the way he told me about her is because I mentioned I was a maker myself and I enjoyed watercolors. I made my own paint, but I also drew and, you know, was very artistic in that way. And so he told me that I definitely need to talk to Abigail. And so I did. And I was amazed because, you guys, she makes almost everything on her own. So even those who cast their own blanks, which she does, so this is very unique. This is Antique Lilac, so her own creation of a blank. So even those who cast their own blanks, she just, you know, she like is a step above everyone, because even threading is what she makes herself, which is amazing. So basically everything except for the converter on this one, converter and the nib, but everything else is by her. So all of these are her, and that's amazing. And it's just an incredible pen to be able to use. And also she's a great person to support, and one of the few female makers, which makes me feel like even more excited to look at her work. And with that, this tray has been completed. Here is the full view of the tray and the very first pen that no longer goes in there.